Good morning. Today we're going to be installing the K&N Cold Air Intake into the Alfa Romeo Giulia. So we're just going to start. First off, you want to come in here, open up your battery box, and you're going to want to disconnect the negative terminal, and then do not close your trunk. Otherwise you are going to extend this process for a very long time because it'll lock the whole car. So to remove this off that nipple in there, all you have to do is just press this tab and then pull it off the top. And just leave it off to the side so you know it's there. You can even take something like the cover and set it over the rear latch so you physically cannot latch the rear. So this is everything that comes in the box. You got your mounting hardware, your couplers, the heat shield, tubing, cone cover, gasket, and then your cone. And it's all going to go in here. As you guys can see, here's our stock intake running all the way along here. And that's what we're going to be replacing with this beautiful beast from K&N. So we're just basically going to set you guys up for a time lapse of undoing everything. I'll try to talk you guys through it, but I'll probably do a voiceover on it. So to start, we're going to remove the engine cover. Just going to pop these two tabs. And then it's two 10mm bolts that you're just going to take out. So you're just going to loosen this. It's a 7mm coupling. So once you loosen that, you'll be able to slide this back and out the way. But we're going to disconnect from here and then disconnect these two top hoses and these two lower hoses first. So if you guys can see, there's two lower hoses right here that we're going to disconnect. And then we're going to disconnect these two uppers and then loosen this bracket to pull out this whole section here. So we've already disconnected the lower two, we've disconnected the upper one, and then these are just clamps that you have to pop. There. Maybe take it off like that. Easy peasy. Now we just got to remove the hose clamp on this side. Save it to that. You can see the clip is now loose. You can kind of just wiggle it off. And this is going to be that main housing. You can see that number there. So these were the bottom two hoses. So that was that top hose, turbo intake, and then feeder to the air hose. So then on this box right here, to take the mass airflow sensor away from the intake box, there's 3 T25s that you're going to have to remove. Okay, correction, it was only 2. I thought it was 3, but it's only 2. And then you can see right in there, that's the mass airflow sensor right in there. I didn't see the need to disconnect it from the cable, so we're leaving it attached to the cable and we're just setting it right here on the radiator. And then we just got to work on removing the box. So if I'm not mistaken, it's only 2 10mm bolts that hold the box in place. Yeah, so this is our current K&N air filter. It's just their drop-in version. It's been run for about 15,000 miles. And I mean, I can still, you guys can even still see through it. It's pretty good. So, if you guys can, when you're taking this out, try to spray some WD-40 onto either one of these nipples because the brackets get stuck and it is impossible to pull this cone. So I'll show you guys right here. Those are the 2 points that those brackets set into. As you can see, I sprayed them with some WD-40. So they're nice and slippy, so it came out super easy. Also, don't forget, this hose is your intake on the outside, and it has 2 clips that you have to push to pull it from the box housing. I know it's going to be kind of hard for you guys to see, but under here there's 3 bolts. They have to remove their 10 millimeters to take this bracket out. So we're just going to do that now. So there's actually a correction that needs to be made on the instructions from K&N, that the 2020 Giulia model only has 2 bolts securing the bracket rather than 3. So then here, we're just going to be installing this shroud here. And you're going to be using this bolt right here. So it's going to go bolt, split washer, and then just a flat washer. There's going to be 2 of them in the case. So you guys could see we installed those 2 bolts to hold the cone shield, and this is how it should be installed. So you guys can see. Sorry, the sun decided to come up at the worst time. So this is how it should look when you mount it in. So that's the corner of the shield there. The cone's going to be here, not facing the other way, because this side is going to go to the induction tubing towards the turbo. So that's how it should be installed. And you're also going to install this fancy little gasket trim. So guys, it takes a little bit of convincing to get this gasket all the way around. I found it easy to use a flathead screwdriver and kind of walk the screwdriver around the edge as you're seating it. You guys can see kind of what it looks like. Nice and seated for the heat shield. On to the next step. Next, we're just going to be installing these 2. We're going to be installing these 2 rubber stud blocks into where we took out those original 2 bolts now. So we took those 2 little rubber studs. We took those 2 little rubber studs, set them down in here, hand tight them. I'm just going to wipe down this area because if it's dirty and you can see it now, clean it because you're never going to see it again. So now we're just installing the actual heat shield into the vehicle, which you guys can see right here. It's going to take a flat washer and then a nylon nut. One way I found that's super easy is if you get quick detailer, do a little spray of quick detailer on a rag, and then just rub. Don't forget your hose clamps. So once again, we used a little bit of spray of quick detailer. Fit this coupling onto the mass airflow sensor. If you didn't disconnect it, just be careful when you're tugging. You don't want to pull the wires out. So just put that on. Make sure you get the clamp on first, otherwise you're gonna have to take this whole boot off. It's easy to feed it from the inside and work it through. So now we have that coupler mounted to the heat shield with the mass airflow sensor ready to go. Now we just got to work on putting the rest of these piping in and follow the rest of the instructions. So you guys can see we're just feeding these couplers on, setting them, and then tightening them down ever so gently just to hold them in place while we get everything else set. So now we're just installing all the couplers and hoses that we detached initially. So that's going to be the install for this. Next we're going to install the decal. We're just going to clean that pipe up a little bit, and then we're going to install the decal. Almost forgot to reinstall the engine cover. So that's what we're doing now. It's just the two 10mm bolts that we took out at the beginning. So we go from this chunky box to this absolutely beautiful aluminum tubing, massive cone with heat shielding, and it just is going to look so beautiful in here. So now that everything's fully installed, we're going to start the car. Now that we've connected the negative battery terminal again, we're going to start the car and listen for any boost leaks, tighten down any screws that may need to be tightened.